Okay, welcome back to my top 10 list of being Hawaiian. This is just top 10 list of mine. It's not a definitive list of any kind. This is a list of myths I've been told by people, other misconceptions about what it is to be Hawaiian. Alright, we're now at number 8. All Hawaiians speak Hawaiian. That's not the case. See, my Tutu's generations, they all spoke Hawaiian perfectly. Let's get this straight. Tutu in Hawaiian means grandmother, but there's no such thing in the language that has like great grandmother or great great grandmother, unless if you actually add the word great in Hawaiian, to do that. But I was never taught that's what you do. You just called your grandmother, your great grandmother, your great great grandmother, and so forth and so forth. Tutu, no matter what. So I came from like a mixed marriage, so yeah. So usually my grandmother, that's what we consider her. She likes to be called Grandma Lani. Her name is Kekeilani Akalani, and then my great grandmother, we just called her Tutu. And to me, I just always call them Tutu. My grandmother, my great grandmother, and so forth. My Hawaiian side. Alright, get that straight out. Okay, for Kekeilani Akalani, my grandmother, yes, she spoke pure Hawaiian. But the thing is, when she was little, going to school, she was beaten for speaking Hawaiian on a constant basis by her teacher, beat the shit out of her. The school would beat the shit out of her. They were all Hollies, beating the shit out of Hawaiian kids. They would ask every day these kids' names. She would say her name, and they'd beat the shit out of her because she was speaking Hawaiian and saying, "No, that's not your name. Your name's Elizabeth." How the hell you get Elizabeth out of Kekeilani Akalani? That's not even her name. Elizabeth. Fuck you. So that was ingrained onto her generation. They were beaten as kids and onwards to go through school for speaking Hawaiian by teachers. I'll get to you about what happened to her brother on another video. It's actually quite sad, and similar thing happened to me too. What happened to my great uncle also happened to me. So yeah, her generation was beaten basically. So when they grew up, they had kids. They didn't teach the next generation of children. Like my dad's generation, he was not taught. His siblings were not taught how to speak Hawaiian. But how his parents were, they taught him how to speak proper English. He was born in California but raised on the islands when he was a small child, and then like his later years and like later high school years, he ended up moving back to California. The family moved, and then my dad went into the military service. See, my dad wasn't really taught Hawaiian. He kind of had to learn on his own about that. And then when it came to my generation, at least for me, my cousins, pretty much all of them on the Hawaiian side, we all have Hawaiian names. I have cousins on the islands too. Well, we consider cousins because it's actually a cousin of my grandmother, Kekeilani Akalani, and her name is what was her name? I can't remember. Well, she on her line, then goes to her son. Then their family line had kids, and basically my generation, they're the same generation, so so they all have Hawaiian names. It's like their grandmothers had Hawaiian names, their kids had, our parents had was Holly names more or less, and then more or less. And the next generation afterwards had was purely Hawaiian names again. That's why you'll see people my age with Hawaiian names where it's on two ID cards just for the first name. All right, my generation, depending on how we grew up, each one of us grew up differently. For me, I had to learn Hawaiian on my own. My grandmother, she spoke Hawaiian, but you had to catch her, of speaking it. She would speak to the dogs and whatever, animals basically, in Hawaiian. She would. But if there was anybody watching her, she would switch to English. She did that because she was ingrained as a small child being beaten for speaking Hawaiian. So pretty much she always spoke it, you know, to nobody near her, or people of her own generation. She would speak to them in pure Hawaiian, no pidgin or any of that BS crap. But for me, once in a while, she will be speaking in a mix of Hawaiian and English, which is very important to me. Sometimes she would just speak in pure Hawaiian to me, and I understand. I don't know, I just had the ability to understand of what she was saying, or like any language, like if I wasn't taught it, but I can easily understand or grasp. It's like I know what they're saying. It's kind of eerie and strange. It's easier for me to understand a language than it is to really speak it well. So I do find like my generation and generations after me, of Hawaiians, they speak mainly as pidgin, and a lot of them are taught like a glottal form of Hawaiian where it's basically backward, not pure Hawaiian. I was taught more you speak pure Hawaiian correctly. These are the words. This is how you pronounce them, and these are their meanings. It's very simple, you know. And some of our words, is like Cookai. To me, that was normal. And when I find people that didn't know what I was talking about, I'm like, talking about, okay, Cookai means direct translation, literal translation means excrement. But when you say I'm going Cookai, this is kind of Hawaiian slang, which means that I am going to the bathroom. It doesn't actually really mean that you're going to shit, but you could. It's just, like if someone bangs on the bathroom door and asks you what you're doing, you say I'm going Cookai. It's perfectly understood. You just leave the person alone. It's like, how would you like if you're trying to release waste from solid excrement out of you? You don't want somebody banging on the door and bugging you. It's kind of like simple. So, all Hawaiians speak Hawaiian? No. It's kind of the same way as saying that all Irish speak Gaelic, because you have Irish from Ireland, and then you have the Irish that moved to other countries like Canada and the Americas. Like, part of my family did, from Ireland to America. Gaelic was lost, and it just, like, even the accent, speaking an Irish form of English, something like this. Switch to like this. Because we want to do is assimilate our people into the Anglicized American society. Yeah, plus I am a master at different linguistics and pronunciations of words and different accents. So, I can even do Scottish very, very well. If I want to, accents. No, I never really grew up on Hawaii. So the only Hawaiians I knew were my grandmother, my great grandmother, my family. They're Hawaiians that were born on the mainland and then grew up on the islands. They're the only ones that I knew personally. Same thing with my cousins. That, what it was of being Hawaiian. And my grandmother would tell me that I'm more Hawaiian than any of them. That she specified to me that I was an island boy. I will always be an island boy. And my cousins and stuff, they were more Americanized. They made I had cousins that were darker than me that looked more, skin tone as Hawaiian, but acted more, you know, valley girl. Because most of my cousins were female, so they acted like valley girls. Didn't grow up in the valley. Trust me, they did. You know, they were just very much the stereotypical Californian girl for the time. And I was still like a person that belonged on the islands a long, long time ago in the past. Because my grandmother grew up in a small village. So, just letting you know, not all Hawaiians speak Hawaiian. Luckily for me, I learned as much as I could, and I'm still learning the language. And it's a tonal language, so you have to have the accental marks, or the words are completely meaningless because you're misspelling it, technically speaking. Like the law, depending on how you pronounce it and the accental marks, you like if you write it or you put the accental marks, you change the meaning of the word. So, because there's three different meanings, but three different ways of actually saying it of the word. It's a greeting, a salutations, and it also means love. So as my grandmothers, my great grandmothers, my tutus all said to me, with lots of aloha, always. Till then. Oh yeah, here's one more thing. My grandma and my grandmother and my grandfather always said, "I'a'ua la lua." Only one of them was talking about a surfboard. See ya.